wisdom and insight, I believe, is meant to be shared just as well. Just like when Solomon received all of his wisdom.
Welcome to the Howie and Beastmode podcast, where we discuss all things business, including growth, strategy, and execution, as well as personal and professional development.
And
let's join Howie and Beastmode in
just help them to
conversation.
trust in you. And we pray that you'd help this be a really nice collaboration that would provide some value to Jonathan, Lord. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Well, Jordan, as far as kind of getting this teed up, what have you guys talked about so far?
Nothing.
Okay, cool. Well, Jonathan, do you want to just kind of share with us, my friends, sort of what's happening, what you're working on, kind of where things are at, whether that be business or career or both?
Sure. So first of all, I apologize. I'm a little bit under the weather. My daughters as well. We had Omicron and now we have something else. It's like gone from like this last one to this one, like with no breaks. I was like, what is going on?
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, but I wanted to go ahead and keep this with you guys. And that way I know you're just meeting with me. Anyway, so sorry if I'm hacking away while we're trying to talk.
I think on this call, there's a lot of sympathy for COVID.
Yeah, I can imagine. So
yeah, I was in the hospital for 6 days with it and almost died.
Goodness.
Yeah, I got out of the hospital last Thursday. So yeah, double pneumonia. So trust me, you've got maximum compassion flowing from me right now, bro.
So my wife and I are, I guess we're kind of starting a business together. It's been kind of a dream of ours to do that. So so we're both like band people, concert band people. I don't know if y'all were in band like in high school or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Saxophone.
Okay. And so I was a band director straight out of college for 7 years. And just the work-life balance was terrible. It was really, really bad. And so I ended up leaving that. It's been about 2.5 years ago. Kind of went back to the drawing board. I was like, God, what do you want me to do? My wife, she's been teaching. She teaches at King's, teaches at TCC. So she was able to kind of float us through that time period while I went back to the drawing board. And then God put this idea on our minds to basically, we sell band music in a group to different band programs. My wife is a composer, so she writes a lot of the music. We ended up having a program during COVID, so it was during 2020, and we realized kind of the value of what we're doing, and then we ended up like, man, this could really be something that we really make a business out of. And so like the past
what was it that you were doing during
so what
COVID?
we did, my wife got an offer for to write 10 band pieces during COVID. And they were specifically designed to be used for schools that, maybe meeting virtually, maybe meeting in person. And so there was a group of 10 schools that commissioned her to write this at $200 a piece. And they ended up finding these 10 programs like, hey, like this could really be something that is useful to a lot of people. So after that was successful, I was like, hey, maybe I can blast this out and just get the word out to more programs. And I started doing that, and I ended up sending out 50,000 emails over like those 5 or 6 months. And we ended up getting 125 programs in.
Wow.
Yeah. So we're like, okay, I don't know, like if this is just like a one-time thing or if we should continue doing this.
Who would you send the emails to?
Band directors.
Okay.
all throughout the country.
High school, mostly high school, or
Uh,
also?
Mixed, yeah, be middle school and high school. I ended up getting some people, one person's in the Philippines, one person's um, in Europe, and they data mine email addresses and everything for me. And you wouldn't think in this time and age that email works really well, but it works great, because being a band director myself, I knew how much we are on email throughout the day. And so anyway, we did that. And then like, okay, if
So
we're
you sent
gonna,
out, one second. So you sent out the 50,000 emails to band directors worldwide.
just United States.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. In the US. And what was the offer?
So what we did was, it was initially first 10 pieces that Haley had written for $200. And as we started getting more programs, and Haley started writing more for it, so we started increasing that offer just to make it more valuable. And we were kind of thinking about some sort of subscription model, maybe trying to keep these people as customers for the upcoming year. So how can we make them feel, valued by kind of increasing it throughout the year?
Yep. Okay. And you got, okay, so 2 open questions then. I want to know
Sure.
the subscription thing, did you do it? But we have an earlier question that we didn't wrap up with, which was, I think you said there was 125 people that said yes to the offer.
Yes,
Okay.
by the end. Yeah, by the end of.
What month did that start and what month did that end?
So I started emailing in October, and I really
That was
didn't know what I was doing.
October 2020.
This would have been October 2020.
2020, yeah. And then you ended that campaign when?
Like April.
Okay, just this last April. So April
Yes.
2021.
2021, that's right.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Now you were about to tell us, did you I know you said you thought about the subscription and some additional value and other good stuff. Did you end up kind of formulating one or not?
We did. Because the program that we created was mainly designed around COVID to benefit schools that are impacted by COVID. And then if we were going to keep those people, we can't keep offering them the same thing, and in fact, the one we gave them was just a purchase, so it wasn't a subscription. And so we're like, okay, we've got to go back and create more pieces. And that's when we decided, okay, Haley can write, some new pieces to this, but a really cool goal for this would be to add on more composers and kind of become like a publishing company where we have all these different composers, all these different pieces. We offer them in a package, kind of like, I like to think of it like a Netflix for band music.
Yeah, of course, love it.
Which really, it's innovative. It hasn't been done before, besides, just like a consortium of 3 or 4 or 5 pieces, something like that. Normally bands, you probably remember, they buy individual pieces, throughout the year, just for their concerts or to fit their specific ensemble. But we found there's a lot of need from doing those 125 programs of like just schools around the country that are that may not have the resources to buy a lot of pieces. They may not have pieces in their library already. So having like a package of pieces like ready to go, and it's all digital too, was really valuable.
When you say digital, you mean instead of being literally printed out, digital just means they're PDFs type thing?
PDFs, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And that's not necessarily an innovative thing. They're already doing that in sheet music sales. But
I do remember a day though, funny enough. Now I think this is probably in the late 80s or 90s. You could literally, that is how you would buy it. You'd physically buy paper type programs, which is funny.
Yeah.
Actually, you would. I mean, you could buy books or individual, just pieces, which is pretty funny. All right, so you thought about bringing other composers in and then creating a subscription, right?
Yeah. So, so that was like this summer, but we wanted to have everything ready to go by like the start of school in August. And, I worked on it all summer and I was like, man, there's no way we're going to hit that. What we ended up doing was my wife ended up writing full band arrangements, which was like the counterpart to the COVID package of a lot of her pieces. She wrote some new ones, and then part of that is we have like a unique recording process. We actually have to go through and like record these pieces, and man, it took me so much time, way more time than I thought it would. So that delayed me a little bit, and then I was like, if we're gonna do this, if we're gonna, have like a big package, and that's the goal. Like we need to go ahead and get our feet wet with adding on another composer, and so he's a friend of ours here in the DFW area, so we added him on, but his stuff ended up being a lot of work. And so we're like, okay, maybe we can push out in October. And man, we kept pushing it, or I kept pushing it just because it ended up being so much work. Like we redesigned the web page, the website. There were a lot of kind of back end processes and things that I created, like we did an invoice generator. That's one of the big problems with self-published composers in this field is that the purchase order problem. Like it is a pain to do purchase orders, both from the band director side and from the composer side. And so we are trying to ease that process on both sides by they can literally go to our website and put all their stuff in and it'll email them an invoice. And then we handle as much as possible with the purchasing. Anyway, so we are just now starting to roll out with email stuff, like probably literally this week. So it's really good timing that we met today. And like I'm literally writing emails today to send out. But we just got I've been working on the webpage for like 2 weeks, getting that set and ready to go.
So when you say you're literally ready and you're writing emails right now, basically what you're doing is you're creating the promotional emails to start letting people know about the subscription?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're actually starting with the 125 that we currently have. So I'll be basically filling them in, letting them know everything. And it's, I have 4 or 5 emails written right now for them. And then I'll probably after that move on to, like, I have a lot of people from sending out 50,000 emails, a lot of people that said, hey, we're out of money this year. This sounds amazing, but we can't do it. So I have like a list of like 200 people that are like that. So then I'll move on to them, and then I'll probably move on to the others that I never heard from, or, that sort of thing. So.
Got it.
But it is something that we would love, or I would love for this to be like a business that would grow and maybe take both my wife and I to run it. We would love to do that together, and it be kind of a business that supports our family. If it's not something that God has for us, like, that's okay. Like I can do something else as well. I can, figure out something else. But if it is, like, I would love for it to, and I would love to run with it. So our daughter, she's 2.5 right now, and we really want her to go to this Christian school, but it will be about 5,000 over what we spent last year for our childcare. So, like, man, maybe if this ends up taking off more so than it did last year, like, maybe, that's gonna hopefully fund that. So.
Gotcha. Now, right now, you don't have a full-time job. You're spending most of your time on this.
Yes.
Okay. Your wife's working at TKU as well as TCC.
She is.
Okay. And how many kids do you have right now?
Just one.
Okay. Got it. Okay, cool. So target audience is basically 325. What does the subscription cost?
250.
Okay, 250 per year.
Yes.
Okay. What feedback have you received on the music itself?
It's been really good. Yeah. And this was just from last year's. People liked it.
And what kind of music is in there?
It's just mainly we would call it young band music. So it's mainly geared at middle school, early high school, although a lot of high schools around the country, end up playing it, just depending on how good they are,
Mm-hmm. So 250 a year. Okay, cool. Okay, well, Jordan.
Yeah, man, I love it. I have some questions real quick. So if I was just doing some math and doing some other things while we were chatting, Brian he's really good at rapid fire early questions. So I just kind of sit back and let Howie do his thing. But so if you had 125 customers, right, 250 of subscription, so you made about 32K doing that, right? And so that's not really the number that I was going for, but it's the 10, it's this. So your wife composed 10, what did you call them?
They're called adaptable arrangements.
Okay, so there's 10 and it's the same 10 that everybody's getting, right?
This year?
Well, I'm for last year, the numbers that we're working on.
Yes, it's the same, exact same 10 pieces.
So everybody's getting the same set of 10.
That's correct.
All the way around. So and then again, I have no idea, so I'm going to ask this question. Hopefully it's not a dumb question, but so a piece of sheet music essentially is worth $25, right? So if there's 10 and they're $250 for the year, it just, to me, that seems like a lot of effort, a lot of time for $25. Now, again, you're multiplying by 125, but I don't know. Again, I'm not a band director, so I don't know how much sheet music costs. So I don't know if that's way under, if the price is just so low, or if that's just, hey, that's the going rate, because the market's flooded.
So if you were to buy individual pieces like that, they're like, I would say $50 to $75 individual.
Okay. But when you buy them in bulk, they're even more. Like, it seems like if you bought them individually, like buying them in bulk seems like it would be, I don't know.
Yeah, so definitely.
Do you think you're underpriced now that I'm saying that?
I guess it's possible.
Or do you, because sometimes whenever we start out in business, especially when it's our own product, we'll undervalue our product just because we want to get it sold. And that's okay. I mean, it's a good thing to do. But again, part of what you have to begin to clarify, which is, again, where my next questions are going to go to, is you're going to have to clarify, is the product that I'm delivering, would people pay $350? Because now I can take the same 125 and maybe, you're add in 2 more songs, which to your wife, maybe that's next to no work, no effort. We talk about it in business is about, you give add-ons to people and they value the add-on, but to you, it costs you nothing, but you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So if you did 12 songs for $350, now it took your product up and somebody felt like they got more value, even though it didn't really cost you much. But now for the same 125, you know, that's an extra $12,000 just by adjusting my price up a smidge, not even, you know, $500, which is what you said it would be at the low end. So that's just something to consider. And again, we can pray about it and talk about it. The next thing that I wanted to clarify is you sent 50,000 emails and got 125 yeses, right? So whenever the first thing I heard of was what's my ratio? And my ratio is 1 in 400. Okay. And so before I do what I do now, my main thing that I did was helped businesses reduce that number. Like that number frightens me, 1 in 400, because there's only so many band teachers. There's only so many, so you can only mass that out as much as possible.
Right.
So I don't want to do that, you know. I don't want to try to hit every single band teacher in America with an email. That's just non-productive. Yeah. Right. So I need to clarify my audience. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that what is it about my 125 that made them say yes? Was it the budget? Was it timing? Was it, you know, what was it that made them say yes? Because now I need to reduce who I am sending my messages to. I don't want 1 in 400. I want 1 in 200. Ideally, you want less than 1 in 100.
Okay.
Right. I mean, that's where, like, for me, whenever I was doing business, that's where I'm getting to. I want less than 1 in 100. Right. Because now we're really cooking. We're doing far better and we're spending more bang for our buck. Right. So for me, I would always talk to people about, if you got a $10,000 marketing budget, well, I don't want to spread $10,000 over 100,000 people. I want to spread $10,000 over 10,000 people. Now I'm getting more bang for my buck to who I'm talking to, right?
Okay.
And then number two, which I know how this last thing, and then I'm going to mute, is I would sequence. So all these people, you have 200 people who are just sitting there, hey, my budget is this, that, and the other. I would start giving them free content right now. So whenever their budget comes up again, they have no choice but to come to you and pay full price. So now whenever you tell them it's not $250, it's $350, then I've already given you two free songs, 2 free sheet musics. And again, for you, it was one of the 2 additional ones that somebody already paid for. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
But you start doing it now, you sequence them in advance. So when somebody tells you no, then you sequence them in a thing to try to get them to say maybe. If somebody says maybe, you start sequencing them, trying to get them to say yes, but in 6 months. And then whenever somebody gives you that date, then you just start peppering them with free content. So whenever 6 months comes up and you call them and say, hey, it's Jonathan, remember 6 months ago? Then they just say yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I like the offer. I really like the free trial offer. Not like you're going to get all, but just like Jordan said, like maybe 1 or 2, probably 1, but maybe 2. But I really like that. Like, hey, and the sequence that he's talking about is basically, I think you're already writing a set of sequences. You're writing 4 or 5 emails right now. So that's what we're talking about, is basically following them through a path, you know, an educational and awareness path in a sequence way. So I think that's really good. And I love the offer. Like, I hadn't thought of that. That was totally off my radar, but some kind of taste, if they'll at least respond, you know what I mean? Like, not to everybody. I mean, that you'd hate to give away to 50,000, but
no. Yeah.
But
To the
like,
ones that said maybe, that's the ones who.
but like
who
the
get it.
maybe audience, yeah. And then also the people that just didn't respond, just saying, hey, happy to give you one.
Give them a half of one. Give them a taste of what it looks like. Give them a taste of the process of how easy it is.
Mm-hmm.
Let them go through it for free.
Mm.
You know, because again, if that's a big hiccup and you're saying this process is so simple and here's a free one, then again, it just may put them on your map. But again, the sequence, I'm sure we'll come back to it, and I don't mean to cut you off, Howie, but the sequence is, and from my perspective, this is me. My sequences that I do never ask you. It's just free content.
Mm-hmm.
Just free. And then what happens is you just can't help but ask, how do I go to the next place? If you're on the recipient end. Does that make sense? And if Howie likes it, I'm sure we could talk about that more, but
yeah. So the long game of not asking is interesting. There are times to ask though, and I like your other idea better of using the free trial. Not, again, I'm not trying to say free trial. I don't know why my brain keeps doing that. But I like the taste, like giving them one, or like you said, half of one, or whatever it may be. I really, really like that. And I do like the education being part of the sequence steps. And so Jonathan, one of the things that we're both kind of big on is education as part of the sale, education as part of getting to know them, and you know what I mean. And so the thing is, you guys both have such. What's great about this is you really have domain expertise, both of you, right? You guys have literally been there, done that. Like, what their pains are. So building into your, like, hey, I know what it's like to have this, and budget early, it's a challenge. Fresh content, it's a challenge. Having people, being able to purchase at the right level of ability is a challenge. These are the things that we're trying to accomplish. So, we have and by the way, this may be some ideas, but for example, all of our content is tagged with level, right? All of our content is tagged with seasonality or with topics, like different ways of tagging things. And so that helps you as a band director have the affordability checklist knocked out, but also really having a menu approach. So anyway, what Jordan is saying is really important, which is just like using your expertise and turning that into sort of education, right? And one of the things that is really big is educating them on the pains, right? If you talk about the pains and they're like, oh yeah, I really do have that pain. Then what happens is it pulls them in, it draws them in. You have more of a relationship and more trust because you're able to articulate, here's the pain points that I'm used to seeing. I'm sure you have these same pain points. So I think the sequences is really good overall, which I think you're already writing that. Using pain and using relatability and those stories in your sequences, I think is important. His free trial kind of thing is awesome as well. And I agree on the 200, but I think writing a little bit different email for the ones that never responded and having that be the offer is fine. And you know what? And he was saying maybe even do half of one. I think it's okay to give away one. I mean, she's writing these herself. I know that does take a lot of time, but you're able to sell them for full price to the others. I think it's a cost of doing business to give away one. And it might even be like, here's a Christmas one, here's a spring, here's a football one, what I mean? Whatever it may be, like you get to pick one of these three, what I mean? So it could be, they don't get all three though, but they get the choice. But yeah, so I think those are a few things that really resonate with me. The other thing that's I'm hearing in my heart right now, and no promises that it's like some kind of a like direct word for you, but what I'm feeling and sensing is that if you could be an overall coach, advisor, both of you, I do mean both of you, and source for this group, even though this might be kind of this is probably a poor audience, right? It's not a super rich audience. However, if you can be kind of like a one-stop shop for other things, that could be interesting too, right? And maybe it's part of the subscription, so maybe that's content, but maybe it's other things as well. Maybe it's articles on coaching that saxophone player who is struggling, right? Or whatever it may be. I don't know what it is, but it's maybe it's you get to be on our newsletter every month with tips, advice, from across the community. There is some software. Let me look it up really quick. I think it's called Honeycomb. You can create your own. You could actually create your own social site. Yeah, so it's honeycomb, so Honey, and then
Okay.
it's COMMB. I'll put it in the chat. But you can create your own. So potentially something like this or something else, they would get access to a platform and not content only, which is
Okay.
really great. And then they can
Yeah.
talk and then they can share and other things can happen as well.
That's good. I'll have to look into that. I've thought about doing, once I kind of get some free time or just a minute, once we get this thing launched for this year, about doing some educational things, like where I can bring in some of the, like the industry leaders, like some of the, like the famous ones, and have them like do an article on one of our pieces, and that can be something like we share on social media in some way as well to people that are, that are not already in it as well. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there could
some
be,
sort
you
of
could,
like community where they can join, and then maybe they can post, how they use the piece with their band,
also, they could become a revenue source for you too in this, in the sense that, how do I say this? I think I probably started that off the wrong way. What I think that could happen is by you building a community, offering them value, doing all these things, some of them might be composers. So now you just tapped into a way of giving them a revenue opportunity, as well as giving them maybe some, public credit as far as praise and kudos and recognition, but also some money. And so by having a community mindset about this, over time you can tap into the people that like to compose as well.
Mm, yeah.
But I do
But
think you should think of it as a community.
Yeah, it's actually called the Bainworks Collective. So within that name, it has, it's a group.
Yeah, it
is
does.
that the name of your business?
Yeah, it's the name that we're calling this offering, Bainworks Collective.
Okay.
Yeah, we're Woodrow Music, which is my last name, and then we're like, we could call it like Woodrow Music or Woodrow Music Collective or something like that, but I want it to be something that was more descriptive of what it actually is, and maybe something that could grow,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I know it's important to brand in the
Sure.
beginning before, so you don't have to change it in the middle.
Yeah. Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
I just wanted to kind of, depending upon your answers, will let me know if I need to continue down this thought. So in the process of, let's just hypothetically say we got 200 peeps that are in the maybe pile, and we're going to send them a sequence of 3 emails to get them into the yes pile, right? And part of what we're going to do is we're going to send them an offer, or we're just going to send them a free, like, click here and here's a free composition, right? A free sheet music, right? One free one, right? For me, and this may be what you're already doing or what you had already thought, but for me, part of that process would be click here, it goes to your site. They have to put in all their information. Number one, to see how simple your site is versus the PO, because that's what you were saying is a paying process, is that. And so they just see the alleviation of it, and maybe that just further tips the scales further, was like, man, that was so simple to get that to me. I wonder, because for me, it's like, if you give me something free and it's simple, when I pay for it, it would be more simple. Like, that's just the way I think about it. Because normally when it's free, you make me go through an extra step or two, just because it's free, And so, again, that's what I think of. And if it's a simple process, it's another way to get them engaged with you, collect valuable information, but also have them see, hey, this pain point is really not very painful with us. And again, you're not having to point it out. They're discovering it. Self-discovery of a pain point and an alleviation is so powerful. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When they're expecting something to be difficult and then they come to you and it's so, man, I'm used to it being so difficult, but with, you know, with these guys, man, it was so simple. You know, I wonder what it is for a paid customer, you know, and then it just furthers their yes towards you. Make sense?
It does, yeah.
So,
What are you using to keep track of your contacts and to keep, to have sort of a database?
So right now, pretty much have everything in Google Drive. Literally using like Google Sheets and stuff to kind of keep organized. And then I have a service that I've subscribed to that sends out the emails, and it like keeps track of like who's replied to what, and you can like export, with their history and all that stuff.
Okay. Got it.
And I guess just because all I did was data mine and email this last year, that's about as far as I took it.
Sure.
what's your website?
I can post, I can do in the chat. I think I'll send you guys there.
Cool.
1 second.
Where do band directors normally chat at with other band directors? What's the forum?
So there's a bunch of them, but
Okay.
there's like probably, I don't know, 4 or 5, that people will go on and chat in.
Seems like a good place to advertise if they offer that.
Yeah, a lot of them won't let you because they're very like pedagogy focused, and like this group is only for, addressing pedagogy concerns and, talking band related things. And, if you're selling something, it's not allowed. So that happens a lot.
Is there a market for students? So it could be a couple thoughts here, like homeschool would be one interesting thought. And then just in general, people who are self-learners or student learners that aren't doing it on their own. Maybe that's not a very big audience of just student learners. Homeschool might be okay.
Yeah, I would say most homeschool people, I doubt they play any instruments.
Yeah.
I mean, they might, but they probably, yeah. They may not play in a band at all, even if they like take lessons or something.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Good website.
Did you reformat? Was this website wasn't initially for this purpose, was it?
Like the domain?
Yes.
Yeah, so that's well, so it was initially like the HaleyWoodrow.com has been my wife's website that she's been, selling her music on for a long time.
Yes.
And then we did last year's as kind of something similar to this, but still on that same domain. And so this one, I was like, I don't know if I want to launch like a whole new domain yet, especially if we don't even know if we're going to continue this thing. So I just included it on my wife's domain.
Okay. What are you using to?
Oh, I was going to say, she brings a lot of credibility to it as well, which was another one of those reasons. Like, if I completely separate it, and then maybe the emails are coming straight from me, like I don't know if, I don't have any credibility. Like she has more name recognition than I do now. So
yes, I'm going to give you a 30-second spiel, which I know Howie's heard a lot of times. About branding, right?
Okay.
So with branding, this is a common mistake that happens in branding, is that personal and business branding aren't separate. They have, so to me, they have to be separate, because oftentimes you try to place them together like what you're doing, and then what happens is there's a capacity limit because they're together, right? And so my two examples are that I always use are Oprah and Tiger Woods, right? So Oprah, right, had a huge personal brand, or just herself, huge personal, and then she launches the OWN network, Oprah Winfrey Network, right? And the way to make it successful is she took the Oprah show and she put it on the network, right? But they're still separate, right? So what happened is she has this network that's way down here, but she pulled it up because she kept her personal separate, right? And so it pulled it up. Tiger Woods, on the other hand, did not, right? So he had a really strong business brand, but kept his personal stuff in the dark, way down here. Well, then his personal stuff comes to light. So the only direction the business can go is down, right? It's the only way it can go, because they elevate each other or pull each other down. If you put them together, then they hit each other, right? They can't push. And so you have to separate. So, and they pull up incrementally. For most people, they pull up incrementally like that. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, you need to have Haley, in my opinion, you need to have Haley Woodrow over here constantly pushing your business up to catch up. And she's constantly lifting it up at the same time. And then eventually they will do like that.
So you're saying
you do it long term.
Okay, you're saying to keep them connected, but that's how they have to build.
You keep them, they're separate, but they collectively go together.
Okay.
Right. So Haley still does what she's doing. You have this over here. And so she's grabbing this and validating it, grabbing this and validating it. And then this comes over here and pulls it over here to here. Right. But they're separate, you know, so they go up.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Otherwise, the business will get stuck at Haley. It can't go past it because she's the limiting factor.
And that's one of the big reasons why I wanted to bring on more composers as well, because that's, you know, they're going to help us market like with their names as well. You know, it becomes more than just Haley.
Right. But again, from another, I'm not a composer, but from another person, I want to come to a platform that is an open area for everybody, you know, not just.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's where you just have, you know, I have the initials BMC, because that's what I couldn't remember what you said, but it was BMC, right? What was the name of your business again?
Bainworks Collective.
Oh, BWC. Sorry.
Yeah.
Bainworks Collective.
That's interesting that you said that, though, because I thought about doing Band Music Collective. And we were like going back and forth about BMC or BWC.
Music is more clear than works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just as an outsider.
And so again, if you have the Bainworks Collective over here and you have Haley's your number one, she's pulling it up. But then if you have other composers, or if you just have authors who are dropping in content, again, all they're doing is pushing this up on its own. You know what I'm saying? Separate from what Haley's doing. You know what I'm saying? Because then, God forbid, Haley stops writing or doesn't, you know, because then if that happened, then you need this to be able to go like this. If they're together, then they would both go down.
Yeah, and we've already experienced, like I've seen a lot of what you're talking about. From my email campaign, for example, Haley ended up getting like several commissions. So like people paid her to write pieces, and then we turned around and used those pieces in this year's offering. So it's like, you know, growing in that way. And then of course, getting her name out to that many people, more people buy her individual pieces as well. But that's.
And so again, from a standpoint of from a business, you need to be able to market and say, hey guys, you know, we're BWC or BMC, and one of our composers is Haley, just
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
you know, and so whereas, you know, our composer is, you know,
Yeah.
like this is, you know what I'm saying? So it enables to come in and be something that it's a highlight. It's
Okay.
it's something that it's like an additional add-on almost that you can rephrase. You again, as a rebrand, you can kind of fixate on that. You know, one of our top composers again is this, as opposed to this is Haley's business, you know.
And would you separate that before before I would start sending all this stuff out? Or would you, like, I'm just not sure, like I want it to be successful, but I don't know if it's going to be. So I'm like, you know, I don't know if it needs to be its own thing quite yet, but maybe I'm kind of undervaluing what it is.
Well, you don't want to, from somebody who's done rebrands with businesses before, the earlier you can catch it, the
Yeah.
easier it is. Because again, if you have to transition 125 customers over versus, you know, 1,000 customers over, you know, to retrain. Whereas again, and you can kind of, you know, there's a process of new customers come in this door, old customers are phasing out the old door, you know, and transitioning them slowly. But again, if everything was certain, then it wouldn't require faith,
Yeah.
you know. So, which again, we got to bring that back into this.
I don't see how you're off track here, you know, in general. I think we're tweaking and just giving ideas, but the general idea is really good. And success kind of guides you itself. You know what I mean? The Lord guides you through success. And you can kind of see what's working and what's not working. So I think next steps for you look pretty clear. You know, with you're writing this, you know, the sequence of emails, that's great. You know, I would use pain, I would use your relatability, your experience, you know, and provide some educational, you know, that kind of insights in those emails. I love Jordan's free offer thing. That's incredible. That's a killer, not just for the 200, but for the overall group. I'm curious, you're using an outsourced email platform. That's perfectly fine. But on those 50,000 contacts, those are yours. I mean, they're not just the outsourced platform, they're yours too.
Yeah, it's only 10,000 contacts, but yeah.
Okay.
So it's 10,000 contacts that I send. I send about 50,000 total. So it's like a sequence of
a sequence.
5 to 6 emails. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Let me tweak my notes here.
But yeah, I did pay somebody to look those up.
Yeah.
And they're, to be totally honest with you, they'll be probably in like 2-3 years, at least half of those will be gone. Okay. Just because band directors change jobs so much.
Yeah.
So
you'll kind of have to, on some kind of periodic basis, refresh your contact list. Oh, yeah. There's a database source that I like. Let me ask you a quick question though. Do band directors generally put themselves on LinkedIn?
Some of them.
So a certain percent. Okay. Maybe the ones that are a little bit more savvy, you know, a little bit more modern with it. Okay. The reason why I say that is there's an app that I've used successfully before called seamless.ai. And you can use that. You really want to have the version of LinkedIn called LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or at least LinkedIn Premium, for it to work really, really well. But seamless.ai will actually go scrape the web and, you know, all kinds of different databases. And then it will also scrape LinkedIn, and it will look up emails for you and phone numbers and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It'll put in their titles. And then what you can do is I would really recommend that you have your own CRM system, your own customer relationship management system. HubSpot has a free version that's good. That app that I put in the chat a little while ago, Clinty, is a sales engagement platform that allows you to do email and other things, and all the history that from whenever an email gets sent or anything happens through that platform can be synced up to HubSpot. Also, HubSpot's a famous CRM platform. So whoever it is you're using for emailing, they can absolutely
Yeah.
integrate with HubSpot. Yeah, 100%. So do you have a CRM right now?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think that would be a really good idea as
Yeah.
well. So you can have sort of like each particular of those 10,000, each one of those can have their own little page with their contact. You can know the last time you sent them an email, what was said. Also, HubSpot has, it sounds like your provider also has this, but like email opens, that should be able to write back to HubSpot as well. But I want to have a relationship with those folks over time. And here's the good news, that seamless.ai application, which will go find contacts for you, that integrates magically with HubSpot. I've done it myself, and it's just like literally like 1 or 2 clicks whenever you do a search for new contacts, and those will pop into HubSpot. So all this stuff is a little bit of work, but it's all pretty reasonable. Seamless, if you talk to one of their sales reps, they'll usually discount, and it can be reasonable. HubSpot free version is good. Also, HubSpot is a famous platform for marketing capture pages, marketing landing pages. In fact, I believe their landing, not I believe, I know their landing pages are free. So
Okay.
on your website, you can actually capture leads for people who are doing web searches for XYZ. You can capture leads directly through those HubSpot lead forms, and then those become leads in HubSpot, and you can be notified like, hey, you need to call this person. They submitted a request. So I think I know it's kind of a little bit more work. Like I feel like I just maybe open up a little bit more of a can here of worms. But those are just some things that are going to give you more control over time of the business. So yeah.
Oh, I think that'll make it easier. I mean,
Yeah.
doing everything in Google Sheets, I mean, it's going to be easier than that. So
yeah, HubSpot is just a little bit of work to set up. But by the way, the free version, so Jordan's used the free version. I'm currently using free version. I've used one of the paid tiers as well. As they have different paid tiers. But we've both had a lot of value out of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
So HubSpot would be a recommendation. CRM should integrate with your email provider.
What other questions or concerns, Jonathan, did you have that you were really kind of hoping to get some insight on?
I wasn't really sure kind of what this would be like. And so this has been really good though. And I guess just, am I even on the right track here? Should I continue, and from your opinion as business people, should I continue doing this? And it sounds like you kind of think that I'm, just.
Yeah, you're close.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
follow it, and hopefully we'll have some successes with it, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, just
I think you've already had success.
Yeah.
Yeah. To make it this far in this season, you're already having success. Now you're just fine tuning, so you're getting more bang for your buck.
Yeah.
And casting a wider net.
You did mention up in the price, and I guess one of the reasons I had it lower was because it's a subscription. Like they're having to pay that money every year versus paying $50 or $75 and keeping the piece for life. With that in mind, do you still think it's low?
What? Okay, so walk me through again, just kind of industry standard.
So something like this really hasn't been done in a group, right? So if somebody purchases a band piece, like the pieces that we have individually, they keep it forever, $50 to $75. Gotcha. So we're offering a set of 15 pieces for $250 that they have to pay for every year.
So it's like a rental.
It's a rental.
So what I So if I download it and I print it out, it seems like I can keep it for life.
You can, but we have, I mean, it's definitely on good faith, which as educators, you're supposed to have that, but we have a stamp on there that says, on every page that says exclusively for your band program, like has the school's name on it for use during these dates.
Okay,
Yeah.
that helps. That helps some. And
And then,
also you're producing new music every year. So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but the idea would be to produce several new pieces minimum per year, so they could actually have fresh stuff that way too, right?
yes, so we want to, like, I would love to have another 10 pieces for the following year. And then maybe we can up the price, you know, as we keep adding more pieces up to a certain point to where it's like, no, like $400 or $500 maybe the max that a lot of these schools spend on their music budget per year. So
I would say let's see how many you can, even if you keep the price as it is right now, just as a trial, as a proof of concept. Because
yeah,
what you could do is you could always, honor these folks, this initial group, you could always honor that price for them when really they're kind of a test market, but you'll give them legacy pricing as early adopters. But then, to Jordan's point later on, you can raise the price once it's proven. But I think right now, what excites me is getting this messaging out there. By the way, if you want to send examples of your sequences of emails, I don't know that I would do deep authoring for you, just because of time. But I would
yeah,
do a skim. I would do a skim for as an outsider. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
like, hey, this wording was confusing a little bit, or whatever it may be. But yeah, I'm super excited about it. I think I've got nothing but validation for you. All I would say is that once you're engaged with this particular subculture and audience, yeah, there's just who knows what there could be. There could be like they need to lease new saxophones every year, or they need to lease new whatevers, and so there's a company that you can make a deal with them
yeah,
to provide that intro. I mean, there's different things these people use on a regular basis. Um, the social side of this, the networking side of this could end up being a job board. You said they move around a lot, and there's just really a lot here. So love the audience, take care of the audience,
yeah,
because I see it as a platform, and your music is a really nice, wonderful first thing that can pay some bills and have some fun. But I do feel like there's more here over time. But you know what? For now, stay focused on this first thing. Totally. I don't have any corrections for you. I mean, I'm going to send you my notes,
okay,
and I'm not going to clean them up. So you'll see just me capturing what you said, and then you'll see my ideas sprinkled in there and Jordan's ideas. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any concerns about about trying it and going for it.
okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you for the encouragement.
I guess a final thought for me is semi encouragement, and semi just to finish out a thought is you could always have a second price structure of, yes, I want to put you into a subscription. That's what I want as Jonathan Woodrow. That's what I want you to do. But if you don't want to do that, you can buy them one off and they're $100. So if you want to do that,
Oh,
then
that's
go ahead.
smart. Yeah.
But and so again, because then maybe you have those clients who only want to buy or only have a budget for one or two. Okay, we'll go ahead
Yeah,
and buy the one or two, and you can have it forever. But then
we have them for sale.
huh?
We have them for sale on my wife's website,
Yeah,
like as individual sales.
yeah,
So they could buy them on there if they wanted to individually.
yeah.
But
You still can.
you're saying like I should send
It's always
something out.
it's always nice from a business perspective to be able to offer multiple offers. That way
Oh, I see.
you can say yes or no. For me as somebody who's in sales, I want to give the person flexibility to say no and still have an opportunity for them to say yes. If I have one option and they say no, I don't have an opportunity for them to say yes unless I change my offer, right?
Okay.
And so ideally, you have at least you have two, but ideally you have a third.
Okay.
And the third one is really just there to push you to the other two options, right?
Okay.
And so again, that's just another thought. You can think about it again. There's nothing wrong with Haley having it on her own side. That's good. But for me, and for BWC, I want that as an option too. I want to be able to, if somebody has a concern, I don't know if I want to rent, I want to buy. Okay, well, you can buy right here. You can buy right here. Those are all a cart, so you can't buy them as a collective. I'm sorry. And they're considerably more expensive.
Okay.
You know, and then they're like, oh, okay, then I'll just do the subscription. Okay, thank you very much. You know, and you move along. I want to encourage you that you have 200 peeps in the pipeline. I think with the correct sequence, I feel comfortable saying that you can land 50 to 100 of those peeps, you know, because they already said maybe. They didn't say no, they said maybe.
Yeah.
And if you approach them right, give them free content without a push, and walk them through, I think that you have a great opportunity here. And that's why I'm very optimistic, is because your business can potentially double by just treating the customers who said maybe fairly, treating them fair, and you may be able to get their whole budget, you know?
Okay.
So,
okay.
And that may be another thing too, is to get more, maybe you have an entry-level package, 10 songs, entry level, that's 250, then you have 15 songs, that's $400 bucks.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Some
and
tiers,
so again, having
I like
a
the tiers
couple
a
of
lot.
options, having a
Yeah, I
couple
do
of
like that.
options. And again, for you, they're the same thing. It didn't take any more effort from you. You didn't do anything else. I was gonna write 15 songs anyway, so, you know.
Yeah.
And again, if somebody wants to buy them individually, whatever, you know, I've already written them. You're just going to pay me more to do it that way. Fine.
Right.
But again, it gives the person the opportunity to feel like they're in control, and that's okay. You still win their business.
Couple
You know?
other, I love that two tiers, two subscription tiers idea. Hey, couple other things for you. Maybe just actually, no, I think it's two things. I think you should consider starting a podcast as part of this. So this community has, you know, it's got a website, it's got this, it's got that, it's got a podcast. And so you have more and more things that are tied to this. So podcast. I also think, you know, and I don't think the podcast is just, you know, so Jordan and I, so we have a podcast called Howie and Beastmode. So he's Beastmode, I'm Howie. So I keep calling me Howie. I didn't know if we had told you that, so I haven't been using his show name, but his name is on the show is actually Beastmode. But what we're doing is we're interviewing people about their business, and you know, for us that's a podcast. So for you, I think interviewing people that are band directors is a freaking awesome idea, and that's your podcast. And it's like, then plus that person might become a subscriber because now you've got a little bit of a relationship. You talk to them. It can be a video or just an audio podcast, but having you and Haley on there could be a really neat dynamic together with two different perspectives, you know, but also both industry. So I like the podcast idea a lot. I like a social network idea. I like this being a community. I love also opening this up to people that do composing. Even in maybe your sixth email, let's just say, is like, by the way, in addition to subscribe, we are offering or we're looking for people who are composers. Maybe that's one of your blasts of the 10,000 as well.
Okay.
But yeah, the podcast thing can be really cool.
That's interesting that you say that, because we have some, I guess, some friends, more acquaintances that that's what they do, is like this. They teach other musicians how to podcast, and we've been like praying about it and kind of talking to them about, they have like a 16-week thing they're doing to basically teach you and train you how to integrate that into your business. So we were praying on whether we should do that. And that's like one of the things I'm sure they're going to talk about a lot, is podcasting.
Yeah, Jordan, AKA Beast Mode, and we just do it for fun. But I think a lot of people right now are actually doing podcasts around their topic. Like I've been considering doing one for cybersecurity and just interviewing cybersecurity practitioners, because that's my space. And just like, hey, how are you, what are your hottest plans for preventing, cyber attacks? Hey, what are some trends you're seeing? And so with you could be like, just really getting into the teaching side, or the, or the classroom part, or the, how are you solving the problem of this budget? How are you solving the problem of shared student time? Or how are you solving, how do you do this type of thing? What are you guys doing, in terms of financing your equipment, and just really making an educational approach. You guys will get smarter from that. You'll develop a lot of relationships. Yeah, I think the podcast could be really good. Beastmode, who do we use for our platform?
Simplecast.
Simplecast.
Okay.
So it's just one idea.
Okay.
And then, and the great thing too is if you decide to do those on video, that could be a YouTube page and stuff like that as well. But yeah, I think considering how much value can we provide to this community and love on them and support them and educate them. And oh, by the way, we sell X, Y, and Z as well. Could be really interesting. So cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting. I want to hear what happens.
One of the things I really touched on a lot was lead analysis and social media. For lead analysis, we talked about pains and addressing those pains.